about myself, and then take a few minutes to tell you about the legislature, and then what we see is some issues that might be coming up that might affect Zapata and Falcon Lake in the next session of the legislature. Like Dr. Brown said, I've been in the legislature around Texas House of Representatives for 19 years. I've served 8 terms in the Texas House of Representatives, and I'll be starting my 9th term in January, thanks to the graciousness of the voters in District 80, of which Zapata County is one of them, and we did do well in this county, and I appreciate all of you that were able to help us do that. In 1994, I got elected to the Texas House of Representatives, and I began serving. We have 2-year terms in the Texas House of Representatives, and I served for 4 terms. I was out for 1 term, and I served 4 more, and now I'm fixing to start my 5th term. And I served with Representative Ian. I guess he came in 2003, was his first session, so I got to work with him quite a bit, and he's a great guy. But in the Texas House, there's 150 members from all over the state. All the districts are divided up. Right after the census, they divide them all up where they're all the same population. Obviously, over the course of 10 years between the census, within the population will shift. Some places grow, some don't grow, and so they have to rearrange all the districts every 10 years. And that's a painful process we call redistricting. And that's what we just went through in this last session, and hopefully we're done with it in the districts that we have now are set. I hope and pray that. But there's a lot of differences in the Texas House of Representatives. We do a lot of things different than the United States Congress. I have a very good relationship with the congressman here, Henry Cuellar. He and I served together in the Texas House, and then while he was Secretary of State before he went to Congress. But I always like to tell people, you know, in the Texas House of Representatives, we meet for 140 days every 2 years, and that's in the state constitution. And usually, when I give one of these talks, somebody will tell me that there's a mistake in the Constitution, and we're supposed to meet for 2 days every 140 years. And I know a lot of times, Garcia probably thinks it might be better if we did that. But the biggest bill we pass is a budget bill every year. And in Texas, unlike most states, and certainly unlike the United States government in Washington, D.C., we have a constitutional prohibition against borrowing money or unbalanced budgets. In other words, in January, the comptroller, Susan Combs, is going to give us a budget revenue estimate for the next 2 years. And that is all money that we can budget for. During the last session of the legislature, we had to do some pretty severe cutbacks because back in the last 2 sessions, because her budget estimates were not even as much as we had spent in the previous 2 years. So the way the Constitution works, that means you got to cut it down. We borrow a little bit of money because we sell bonds for certain projects. All of the colonial improvement projects that were done were bonds that were approved by the voters. We're just about near the end of our bonding authority in Texas until some of them get paid off. It's a very limited amount of bonding authority. But that is unlike the federal government, where I always like to tell the congressman, you know, not only do they borrow money, but they print money. And so they don't have money. There's a lot of differences between the United States Congress and the Texas House. One of them, of course, is they get paid a real salary, and we don't. I want to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen in the next session of the legislature in terms of issues that might affect Zapata. The big issue, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Zapata, because those of you that live here every day, I'm sure you know what a gem and treasure you have here. Those of us that don't live here can really get to see it in ways I hope that y'all can see also. And I want to, and certainly this power breakfast and Peggy's efforts to put this together should be absolutely commended and applauded. Thank you, Peggy, for putting this together. These things don't come together easily. It requires a lot of work on a lot of volunteers' part, and it requires a lot of work on each of you in this room to continue to come, because it's more fun whenever people are here. And so please make an effort to continue this. But Zapata is blessed with a lot of leadership in the chamber, economic development here at the college, and certainly in the county government. I've been very, very impressed with the county commissioners and the county judge here in Zapata County. You know, Zapata County is unique in that they don't have a city government. And so the county government is a city government, and this is a large community to have that situation. I have other communities that I've represented that are like that, but they have 900 people living in them. And so they do a great job here doing that, and certainly they can be recognized. They're one of the most progressive group of county commissioners and county government seen. I had a chance to visit with the superintendent at the school district for, I guess we spent an hour visiting, and we talked about the situation with public school finance, which is a mess. Quite candidly, it's a mess, and that's one of the issues that's going to be first and forefront in the Texas legislature. Now, half the school districts in the state of Texas, más o menos, have sued the state over the funding formulas, thank goodness. And so we're going to see some changes, but it might take a couple of years for those to work out. So for the next session of the legislature, we're probably working under the same school finance program we have now. And so that's the situation. What's the answer? The answer would be, in terms of equity, if the state paid 100% of the cost of public education out of some fund, and that would be a statewide income tax, which requires a vote from the public, which ain't going to happen, and constitutional amendment, or it requires a statewide property tax, which is unconstitutional, requires a vote of the public, and it might happen, but probably not, in lieu of a local property tax, I'm saying, not in addition to. And so those are, or else you got to come up with some big pool of money to pay for all of it. So for the time being, we're stuck with a system that has a mixture of state money and local money, and as long as we do that, we're going to have these inequities that you have, where some communities end up receiving, $4,000 or $5,000 per student, and others end up receiving $8,000 per student, and it's not fair, and it needs to be looked at, and it will be addressed. And I appreciate the patience of the superintendents. There's probably 20 school districts in this legislative district that I have, and not all of them are as patient as she is, but I appreciate the patience of all of them in that. But so we're going to have school finance. We're going to have issues regarding oil and gas, the whole issue about hydraulic fracturing and the amount of water that's used. I've served 6 terms, I guess, on the House Natural Resources Committee as vice chairman for most of those terms, and so we have a tremendous issue with natural resources use and the uses of water. The whole issue about the lake levels in Zapata Lake, to the extent that the state can control that, I certainly think we need to do everything to maintain constant lake levels out there in Zapata, because you can't build an economic development, or it's very difficult around that. And we have transportation issues, always, with particularly in areas like this area where there's a lot of oil field activity. You want to have increased money from the state government, so we're going to be working on that. Our picture looks a little better next session than it has for the last 2 sessions, because the sales tax revenue is up. The comptroller tells us that we're going to have more sales tax revenue. Certainly the oil and gas service taxes are up. And so we hope that we're going to have a little better economic situation. The other big issue that's going to come up that I consider an economic development issue, because the school district spends so much time and money administering these standardized tests. And I have always been in favor of doing away with all of them and just letting the parents and the school districts decide exactly what they think is a quality education, or when the kids are with them. Because, you'll figure it out when they go to college, whether or not they did any good in high school. And or when they take that SAT, and when they take the other exams that they have, because we spend an inordinate amount of time, in my view, preparing for those tests to do. So that issue is going to be big in the next session of the legislature. So any of you that have any viewpoints on that, whether you think they're good or bad, let me know, because we're going to be seeing a lot of that in the next session of the legislature. I cannot tell you how fortunate you are to be sitting in this room, not listening to me, but just sitting in this building. Because this facility is, I've been to a number of long-distance learning facilities. I've been to long-distance learning facilities on college campuses, and I have never been to one that had the kind of technology that this particular building does. And the way that the funds were obtained for this particular facility was unique in the legislative process, and you might have been at a certain time when you could get that done, and y'all were very, very fortunate that you were in the right place at the right time and situation. You've got wonderful natural resources here. In terms of course, you've got a lot of gas that hopefully someday will
the level that these students are supposed to be learning. And as all of you know, we welcome the challenges of Zapata. It makes us better teachers. And we love our children. But we still have to remember that it takes a lot more money to educate children of low economic situations. It just does, okay? And so when you mix that with a huge budget reduction, and you're used to budgeting a certain way and providing certain programs, well, you know, it's a difficult thing and it's a perfect storm. And so I'm just very, very fortunate that I'm working with staff that are able to solve these problems. And we come together to the table and we put things out there and we walk out with solutions. Because that's what our kids need and that's what our kids deserve, and we're going to provide it for them. We adopted a new transformational model in our school district, and that is a model that the state of Texas has adopted to help transform schools. And with that model comes a lot of staff development and a lot of paradigm shifts also in the way we do things, in the way we're organized every day, in the way that you see teaching and learning in the classroom, and also in all the support services that you're supposed to have. So when you have any kind of paradigm shift, of course, you're going to have growing pains. You're going to have people not ready to make those changes and shifting the way that we teach in the classroom. Many of us are used to whole group instruction. When we grew up, that's the way it was. But now our teachers are having to teach in smaller groups and having to teach those students that are well beyond everybody else and need to go into college learning skills. And we also have many, many children that are just learning a language, or they're very behind in new skills that also need support. And so you're going to be hearing us talking more about what we call flexible learning time. And so in the area of technology, and I so believe in distance learning, and I'm so proud of this project that, and I know it was Peggy's brainchild, and the judge and the commissioners, we actually have gotten so much at the district level from this particular facility. But at the district level, we know that our children learn differently. And so one of the biggest initiatives you're going to hear us roll out is called ICT, Learning Anytime, Any Place. And that is, we're starting with the high school students. They will all be issued an iPad in January. And a lot of the teaching and learning is going to happen through that. It's going to be checked out to them. They're going to keep it. And we're trying to work out a deal with Apple. We're not sure yet. But we're hoping that after 3 years, they're going to be replacing them with an upgraded model. And many districts are going this route because even our textbooks are no longer hard copy. They're all digital now. And so we have to, those are all the paradigm shifts that are coming, and we need to learn to be resilient. Because all of you in business know that. Your businesses change, what, every 3 years, every 5 years? Otherwise, you go extinct. And if you don't change along with it, then you can no longer function. And that's happening to school districts. So hopefully my goal is that eventually all first graders on up will have an iPad to take home, and that's going to be books as well. And I'm hoping that we get together with the judge and with our commissioners and make Wi-Fi available community-wide. And so as we're trying to transition into that, we're going to make Wi-Fi available into a homework center in our school district, where we're going to have just tables and chairs for anyone who does not have Wi-Fi, and they can start using their iPads and tablets there, or community or families that may not have a computer at home. So we have to go there. We have to open the doors to the world, to all kids. And our children, many of our children, have to have those opportunities. And I want to make sure that they get them. And we need to embrace those challenges because we have a wonderful community, great resources that we need to make sure that we enjoy. And our kids also need to graduate ready for the world they're graduating into. Not the world you and I graduated into. Very different world. And so we have to give them a choice. So that's what I have right now. But if you guys later on, we can talk more in detail about what we're doing. Thank you, and I'm enjoying it.
Let me tell you a little bit about this center. This center, as Representative King pointed out, Zapata has extremely progressive and smart leadership. And let me tell you about the leadership that made this happen. It has to do with our commissioners. It has to do with Judge Rathmell. Everything that we do here comes from accredited universities, It comes from federally certified programs that are going to provide people that finish their training here with top-notch, highest levels of training and education. We also bring in an ambulance. And with the ambulance, we can do EMT training to help improve our first response, our first responder care here in Zapata, for the fire department, for a number of others. But that's not all. When you go into these classrooms and you see this technology, we are part of the Texas A&M University system, through the Trans-Texas Video Network. So this project is driven by outstanding leadership through our commissioners, through our school district, and through through our elected officials as well. And finally, I want to say that our academic partners are incredible. Texas A&M has been behind supporting Zapata's efforts to bring this center to a reality. Laredo Community College has been a stalwart, strong supporter for many, many years in Zapata. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to also teach for LCC as well, along with a number of other faculty. And we also now have Texas State Technical College, which is a huge university system that focuses on things like oil and gas training, EMT training. And of course, we also have the UT Health Science Center San Antonio, affiliated, part of our agreements to work with Zapata, which, as you know, we want to continue as our population continues to grow. We want to also offer those healthcare opportunities as well. And having the UT Health Science Center and the UT system working with us in that area is wonderful.
Good morning, my name is Erasmo. Last name is Yarrito Jr. I'm the Watermaster. I have been for about 4 years now. The lake is something that I'm sure you all are very aware of. As Representative King mentioned, the levels do fluctuate. And a lot of that has to do with our irrigation on the U.S. water, on the U.S. side for the U.S. portion. But the grand majority of the fluctuation, and I hate to point the finger at it, but it does belong to Mexico. We share that reservoir with the country. So just like we do in that at Lake Amistad, you know, we share Falcon. And we share the whole river, in fact, all the way down. So some of the changes and some of the events that happen along the Rio Grande, we have no control of, but we do our best to control it. And that's what our program is for. Our program is created, or was created, for the water right holders, and all the water right holders have a big stake in it, and they all have a say on what happens by means of picking up the phone and calling our office and saying, hey, this is a concern. And I've spoken to many water right holders before. Some of them are here. I've spoken with the judge before on lake levels. And we have made a conscious effort to maintain as much as possible at least 60 to 70% of whatever is coming out of downstream of Falcon coming in from Amistad to Falcon, so that we can make sure that we can maintain. This morning, just so that you can get an idea of where we're at, Falcon is at minus 34 feet, 34.6 feet in fact. The historic low over the last 22 years was back in June 30th, 2002, where we hit 54 feet below normal conservation. We're still 20 feet away from that, and we have been for about the last 5 months. Actually, that's what I was going to mention. I started off saying about the time that I spoke with Judge Rathmell. We've been real stable within that 20 feet for the last 5 months. We haven't dropped that at all. So we've been trying to manage that. Amistad is also about 33 feet below normal, but that's further upstream, and I'm sure you guys are only wanting the water down here as opposed up there. So, but that's okay. We do our best, and they're about the same as far as minus from the normal conservation.
I think that over the top, the Commissioner's Court has been responsible and very supportive of this venture, along with all the other partners. I think this center promises to help a lot of our community, and that's basically what our job is, to make the lives of our citizens a little better. And with your support, I think it can happen. I want to thank our Tracy King, our Sarah Bennett, for being here this morning. Yarrito, he's always answers the call. I know he gets a lot of angry calls from us sometimes, but you know, he always has an answer and explains about the situations. So I appreciate you being to help us out. The Commissioner's Court, Commissioner Vela is here this morning. Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Martinez is here. Commissioner Vela couldn't be with us this morning, but we're all very supportive of this community, and certainly enjoy working with our Dr. Garcia and the Zapata Independent School District. We look forward to making this a success. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank you, David. Thank you, EDC, for making this possible.
Great. Thank you.
to get information and resources that help them succeed. And that's what we're here for. We want to welcome you to our office anytime. We're located at the corner of Highway 83 and Highway 16, or FM 496, and we welcome you to come by anytime. So the other thing, we're also working an effort with the Chamber of Commerce and other organizations to help strengthen a positive image of Zapata. We want to be more visible in the region, more visible in the state and the nation, and try to attract industries that will help support local business and community support. So, but we're here to provide information, market research, help you find a location, business location, and just come see us. Give us a call. If we can't help you, we'll try to find somebody that can. Thank you very much.